All right, today we're going to dive into a playbook that just completely flips the script on how you buy a business. Seriously, forget about scrolling through endless listings and getting into crazy bidding wars. We're talking about a totally different approach, a strategic, operator-led way to acquire fantastic businesses that, get this, aren't even for sale. So let's kick things off by unpacking the single biggest mistake most buyers make right out of the gate. All right, section 1, the buyer's leverage trap. So first things first, we've got to understand the fundamental problem here. I call it the buyer's leverage trap. And, it's this really subtle but incredibly powerful force that basically causes most acquisition attempts to just fail. They fail before they even get started. And the crazy part is, almost nobody even sees it coming. So why do most business buyers start by giving up all their leverage? I mean, really think about that for a second. The very first step most people take on their journey to buy a business, it's basically an act of strategic surrender. You're walking onto the battlefield and just handing over all your weapons. You're entering the game in the absolute weakest position possible. But how does this happen? Well, this is the conventional path, and it's probably going to look pretty familiar. You jump on Google, you type in businesses for sale, and you land on a bunch of broker websites. Instantly, you're not in a private conversation, you're in a crowded auction room. It's a feeding frenzy. You're competing against tons of other buyers, which of course just drives the price through the roof. Then the broker puts you on the clock, right? They create this false urgency to pressure you. And what's the very first thing they ask for? Show me your proof of funds. And just like that, the entire conversation is about your capital, not about solving the seller's problem. You've lost all control and you haven't even had a real conversation yet. Section 2, from buyer to dealmaker. So how do we get out of this trap? Well, the answer is a really fundamental shift in your mindset. It's time to stop thinking like a passive buyer who just waits around for deals to pop up and start acting like a proactive dealmaker who actually goes out and creates them from scratch. And this table really lays out the two different worlds perfectly. On the left, you've got the public market. That's the broker-controlled world we were just talking about. It's high competition, it's totally price-focused, and you're always reacting to whatever they throw at you. But on the right, that's the unlisted market. This is where you, the operator, are in control. There's literally no competition. And the focus? It's not about price. It's about the structure of the deal. You're being proactive. This is the operator's playground, right here. And this really is the core idea. Serious operators don't find deals, they engineer them. You stop looking for those for sale signs, and instead you start creating opportunities completely out of thin air. It's not about finding deals, it's about engineering them. And honestly, this is the single most important mindset shift you can possibly make. Section 3, the deal flow engine. Okay, so if we're going to be engineering deals, we can't just sit around and hope for the best, right? We can't rely on luck. We need a system. We need a machine, something that consistently churns out opportunities for us. So let's talk about how to build your very own deal flow engine. Now, the fuel for this whole engine is finding a very specific kind of person. We call them a situational seller. Now, this is not the same as a motivated seller. That term's thrown around all the time. No, a situational seller is an owner who's being pushed towards an exit because of their life circumstances, not because they're trying to get the absolute highest price. It's their personal problem that actually creates your opportunity. And these are the kinds of triggers you're looking for. We're talking about real-life stuff, right? The owner's getting ready to retire, maybe they're dealing with some health issues, or they're just completely burned out and have lost interest. Stress is a big one. These are really powerful, very human motivations. And the key is, they haven't listed the business yet. The thought is there, the desire to sell is bubbling up, and you're catching them in that perfect sweet spot. They want out, but there is absolutely zero competition. So the engine itself, the process, is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. First, you pinpoint your ideal target. You get crystal clear on exactly the kind of business you're looking for. Second, you start to identify those seller triggers we just talked about. And third, you initiate direct outreach. You go straight to them. No brokers, no middlemen, just you off-market. Section 4, structure over capital. Okay, now for the advanced insight. This is the part that really separates the pros from the amateurs. It's this deep understanding that the magic isn't actually in the cash you bring to the table, it's in the deal you're able to create. I'd be willing to do a deal tomorrow. When you hear an owner say something like this, it is a massive signal. It just perfectly captures the psychology of a situational seller. You know you are absolutely on the right track.
See, they're not looking to go through some long, drawn-out 6-month sale process. They have a problem today, and they want a solution tomorrow. And that urgency, well, that's your leverage.
And this is so, so important. For a situational seller, your terms are more valuable than your cash. You have to get this. You're not selling them money. You're selling them a solution to their life problem. The way you structure the deal, how you can solve their retirement problem, their health issue, their burnout, that is infinitely more valuable to them than squeezing out an extra 10% on the final price. And this is where creative deal structures can let you acquire an incredible business for very little or even no money down.
Section 5, your outreach blueprint. Okay, so theory is great, but execution is what really matters. So let's get super practical. How do you actually find these owners and get in touch with them? Let's walk through the exact blueprint for your outreach campaign.
It's a simple 4-step campaign. Step 1, you define your target profile with absolute precision. Step 2, you craft a really professional, compelling outreach letter that speaks directly to their potential situation. Step 3, you source accurate contact data for these owners, names, addresses, the whole thing. And Step 4, you systematize your mailing. And I'm not talking about sending 10 letters. We're talking about sending hundreds, maybe thousands. This isn't a hobby. It's a full-blown campaign.
And here's the thing. Serious operators, the people who do this for a living, they don't do this stuff randomly. They build a scalable pipeline. They use professional systems and tools, often leveraging something like LinkedIn Sales Navigator to get really precise with their targeting and run these campaigns super efficiently. It's all about building a predictable, consistent flow of qualified off-market acquisition targets. That's the name of the game.
You know, building this kind of systematic engine is absolutely the key to creating that consistent, qualified deal flow that separates you from everyone else. And look, if you're someone who's actively looking at acquisitions and this is the kind of pipeline you need, feel free to connect with me over on LinkedIn. We can talk about it.
Okay, Section 6, the allocator's mindset. Let's wrap up with one final, really powerful shift in perspective. This is about going beyond just buying a single business and moving into a completely different league of thinking. And here's the ultimate goal. You want to become a capital allocator. Now, this isn't just a buyer. This is a strategist. This is someone who uses creativity, who uses smart deal structures, and yes, even other people's capital to acquire and control cash flowing assets. You're not just playing the game, you're designing it. This right here is the end game. So your deal flow is your advantage. How will you build it? At the end of the day, it all comes down to this one thing. In the world of M&A, your proprietary deal flow, the opportunities that only you can see, is your single greatest advantage. It's the moat you build around your entire deal-making operation. So the real question isn't if this approach works. The only question left is, how are you going to build it?